secret word you whispered in somebody's ear. You see, the truth is always a secret.
Well, yes, it depends what we're allowed to use, if you know what I mean. It depends how liquid the situation is. Well, in other words, if we tell it like it is, maybe at the Apollo Soccer Tomb, then we've got a very good documentary. But if we're hiding, then we don't have much luck. Now, Neil is calling back now. Plus an apple core.
An apple core of us alone.
Neil spoke to me and he said
PM was on his way.
PM was on his way.
He died.
Yeah. Like our life goes on.
Dead is ignore it. I know he's dead. If you want to prove that he's dead, they'll probably bug him more.
It's hard. He's gone.
Yeah.
Left us. I really feel he should have stayed. Because, 2 years, 18 months ago, he wouldn't have made. We're just carrying on.
Tony!
A rumor swept across the country concerning the death of Paul McCartney.
There was this rumor, and a radio station was reporting that Paul McCartney apparently had been dead for years, and that there were clues in Beatles records about it.
Paul died. It wasn't really Paul.
Somebody came up with the news that the Paul McCartney died in M1 in a car crash. Everybody seems to know.
Paul had died some while back. He had a jolly good impersonator working for him because I began to believe it myself. It was obvious that he's died and the boys are covering it up.
It's the Sgt. Pepper album. The Beatles are actually gathered around what looks like a grave.
One of the myths that rose was that you can read that as P-A-U-L question mark. When the stories of Paul's death were rife, this was a sign that Paul had indeed died.
Was there any truth in the rumour that you were dead?
Not much, Not really here.
No.
There are two Paul McCartneys.
I mean, we never believed all that stuff, it's like Paul was dead, as well. There was another rumour, I didn't believe that one.
Why do you think that rumour's coming?
Why do they come about? Because Paul McCartney's dead, of course.
What about the rumor that was going around one time that you had died and there was a double standing in for you?
It's not true. I'm almost alive.
Was it fun for you or crazy time?
Yeah, it was actually, because the man from our office rang up and he said, it's on the press that you're dead. I said, well...
What a super...
Yeah, that was great. Oh, thanks, yeah, fine. And he said, what do you want to do about it? I said, there's not a lot I can do about it, actually. So, we just let it ride, there was nothing else we could do. I just came out with a couple of statements and said, like, what was it, the Mark Twain one, rumours of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Somebody said that.
Yeah, I wasn't really dead.
It is me. According to the Jerusalem Post, the staff was this very disagreement.
There was a period a few years ago when I was dead. Supposed to be dead, Paul was dead. I wanted to ask you about that. Are you... No, I'm not actually dead, no. Not actually. Just a good replica. But I'm not actually dead at this minute, anyway.
Why do they come about? Because Paul McCartney's dead, of course.
People are going to believe it. They're going to believe it and then say it's not true. Not one bit of it.
I, in this shell,
And that guy I've read so much about. Paul McCartney's the sort of successful bit of it all. I don't imagine I'm him, because it'll just blow my head off.
Yeah, but I'm not actually dead at this minute anyway.
Am I really that guy? Is this the same body I'm inhabiting? And it is quite sort of strange. And it is quite sort of strange.
There was a guy who looked like you taking your place.
No, well, this is him.
Hello there. What do you want to know?
Careful! Are you natural or double?
That's a secret. I can't tell you. Well, there will be an answer, you know. All right. Thank you very much. Bye.
Oh, I try and sort of pretend I'm not him.
It's a bit schizo.
My name is Joe English.
My name actually is Jan Thomas.
I was talking to Neil last night about an idea that while we were rehearsing the show ourselves, we should have alongside us someone sort of near so that we're getting the same kind of buzz. And at the end, the final bulletin is the Beatles are broken up. Just all the time in the Magic Christian. Speedy's witch doctor.
Bill seems to be individualistic, if you like, in as much as he's very self-contained. He doesn't need anybody else at all.
But do you think if you put any pressure on him, that he'd go your way a bit more?
The Beatles have made no live appearances for 3 years. There've been no records for a certain period of time in 1966, when Paul was supposed to have died. I understand he went to Africa at the time, but maybe he did have an accident of some sort.
He wanted to become the most powerful being in the world.
It was so unusual because that's the only case I've ever heard of or ever seen. And how he ended up, they don't know. I don't know. I guess that's the main thing. They don't know. They don't know. They don't know.
What we want is to turn you on to the truth, but if you're not ready for the truth, you can't see it.
Heal and your headbands. So finally I first became aware and enlightened. I felt brand new, and nobody noticed anything different.
I don't know. I just think it's just silly of me or anyone to try and say, no, you can't. But he sort of really finished the idea off, which made it sensational.
Shall be the whole of the law. The study of this book is forbidden it is wise to destroy this copy after the first reading. Those who discuss the contents of this book are to be shunned by all.
I have the slightest doubt that we did the right thing, and that we acted in accordance with the law. He kept the book, you know, but you can't retain that book. It must be thrown away, burned, and destroyed with it. And whatever happened to him was the invisible God. The world isn't ready for him.
The author called himself I Was, and claimed to be the minister of Hor-Por-Karat. How could he prove that he was, in fact, a being of a kind superior to any of the human race? He must show knowledge and power such as no man has been known to possess.
The only thing I know about Aleister Crowley is that Paul and his brother Mike McGeer are
He showed his knowledge chiefly by the use of cipher or cryptogram.
It seemed a little bit like magic, you know. Doesn't mean a lot, you know, being 39, being 40, being 3,823.
Thus, the proof of his claim exists in the manuscript itself.
The for McCartney is completely different.
The study of these passages necessarily demands supreme human scholarship to interpret. It needs years of intense application. A great deal has been still to be worked out, but enough has been discovered to justify his claim.
Number one, it is a force for good. We have a lot of power.
You know, let's use this, and for evil, you know. Click. That was Hitler. That's what he wanted to do.
We never used it like Hitler.
There is, however, a desire to get power in order to use it for good. You've got power, you've got to use it for the good.
And if you want to think I'm part of some conspiracy, then great. You know, I think, you know, when people do that kind of thing, I personally think it works against them. But it certainly has never been any way connected with Satanism or anything. I mean, I don't think I'd win the poll if it, you know, as the band most likely to be promoting Satanism. You know, it doesn't look too clever to me, that. It looks slightly foolish. I don't think many of the people in the audience tonight will think for 1 minute I'm part of some international conspiracy.
was Paul McCartney, the legend. Also standing there was Paul McCartney, the friend. And more importantly, Paul McCartney, the father. He had brought his little daughter over to get Donny Osmond's autograph. And that said a whole lot about where his values were about family. We present this award to Paul McCartney, the living legend, the friend, the father, for living your life with values.
Beatles had power, but what people don't understand is that power didn't just influence the world through our music, it influenced us directly.
Have you seen the hidden message? Do you know what it says? Look at this. That's called an ambigram.
But there are lots of things that haven't come out. So, you know, I feel like I'm kind of justifying living.
This time I thought there was a big change coming over the Beatles. I didn't really sort of understand it. I think this is when a big change was coming in to their creative minds or attitudes.
This was 1966. Capitol was putting out albums and using different covers, and they would contact the Beatles manager Brian and say, look, we need another cover. Send us something. So Brian sent this picture of the Beatles sitting around a steamer trunk. And John found out that that was going to be the cover, and he had a different idea where the Beatles were sitting down wearing butcher smocks with decapitated baby doll parts and slabs of raw beef on them. He said, no, that's going to be the cover. And Brian went, no, we can't do that. And Paul, because it was hip and avant-garde, yeah, that's going to be the cover. Ringo and George were horrified by it, but that didn't matter because in those days Paul were running the Beatles, no longer Brian. Now it was Paul saying, Brian, do this, and Brian had to. So Brian sent the picture to the Capitol Records president, Alan Livingston. Livingston looked at it and he said, we can't put this out. And he called up Brian. He said, Brian, we can't put this out. And although Brian hated the cover, he knew Paul had insisted on it. He said, no, this is what the Beatles want. And it went out to reviewers and disc jockeys. They were horrified by it.
And they were all sent back in or withdrawn. They stuck that awful looking picture which you have in front of you of us sitting, looking just as deadbeat but supposed to be happy-go-lucky foursome. He had time to look normal, he didn't feel it.
They're like Lennon and McCartney.
now think,
Tell me your problem,
Dick. We now think that it's time we sorted it out a bit more fairly.
I promise you, I will try to sort it out. I'll still come back and sit down and honestly tell you.
You see, because we get advice not
That's the most pessimistic view I can
but
take,
it's
all
up
right?
to us whether we do it or not.
So, Dick, that's it. You go away and you come back with something which you know won't start this argument again.
I think we all have to pay tribute to Ringo here.
Yeah.
And George, and Paul, who can't be with us, and, of course, John. And I guess we miss those guys a hell of a lot. But they're the people who are behind this.
George Martin, the famous Beatles producer, claims there is a secret code written on the CD cover of their latest album, Love. When reflected in a mirror, love reads, code. What is this code?
George Martin produced comedy records. Suddenly, Brian is offered this producer who's never heard, probably, bless him, didn't even know what the pop group was. I mean, he, to me, is the sixth Beatle, the sixth Beatle, the sixth Beatle.
Step back, excuse us. Step back. Coming out this way, sorry.
This is our perfume that's blown. They say the grace to fall. This is our perfume that's blown.
George Martin. He explained some of the new techniques that he and the Beatles were exploring.
Tape and electronics have brought an enormous new feel to music. You can speed it up, you can slow it down, you can turn it round back to front. But take the sound of an ordinary cymbal, for example. Have a listen to this. Now, have you heard it backwards?
Second side, right?
Come on, I'm a nose.
Could you give me a vague idea of some of the tape manipulation you use when your voice drops into the track, John? Is that sung backwards by any chance and then recorded forward?
No, it's not sung backwards. It's just... It's just recorded pretty straight. You know, there's nothing really... there's tape loops on it, which are a bit different. No, it's not sung backwards. It's just
Lady Madonna, children at your feet. Wonder how you manage to make ends meet. When you pay the rent,
The Beatles thing was, because unless I wish to be in a group called the Beatles, it really is just too bad, you know.
Oh, well, it's God and it's all those things.
Paul is God and we're just lying around there, you know.
Because it's a kind of subtle bit of PR for God.
By 2012, the masses would be where we are today, and Paul should be Jesus by then.
And he said to me once that the children of 2000 will be listening to the Beatles.
And they knew there was no real reaction, but John all night was saying to me, if I can get America peace, it's the doorway to the world. If I can get into America, I've got the world, you know. I mean, that's how aware he was.
like audition people, you know, and they came up with this guy, and we knew his work, and we said, all right, he was a phony, you know.
You work it up from there, you know, and you gradually find this new identity for yourself. That's what I was trying to do.
What is this code?
From information I received while using a Ouija board, I believe that there will be an attempt to assassinate you. The spirit that gave me this information was Brian Epstein. He said the attempt was made in a place on March 6th, 70, and Mr. Epstein also said that Paul McCartney was alive in London. Is that true? Please take this letter seriously, because I would very much prefer you to be alive then. Well, it's funny you never said it to me, you know.
Never. Didn't care for either of them?
Didn't know about it. The only name she knew was Ringo, because it means apple in Japanese.
Did you know that when you named your company Apple?
No, no.
It was just one of those happy accidents.
Just one of those happy apples, yes.
Ringo, if you spell it sideways, spells groin.
Star backwards is rats.
There are a lot of... Did you do those things too? I find that I'm
when
always...
I go along the road in the car, I'm always doing the signpost backwards.
What is this code?
Yeah, I figured that if we met, I'd know, you know, just by reading.
But know what?
You know, if what I was thinking was true.
Is it true?
But it all fits, you know. Yeah, like when you were saying, boy, you're gonna carry that weight for a long time. That was just...
That's Paul saying that. Yeah.
Paul saying?
We all gotta carry it till we die. Oh, well, see, that's why I print them on the lyric sheet, then if they really want to know, they can read them. I mean, with Paul's album, there's no lyrics printed, and you can't hear anything he says. Who wants to make all that? I mean, you know, for example,
In your song Revolution,
yeah,
you wanted to change a few of the words from count me in to count me out, or count me out
no,
to count me
I
in.
have both versions. The Revolution, there's 3 versions, number 1,
But
number 2, and number 9. Number 9 is an abstract picture of revolution.
The dragon lady who...
Yes.
The lady who brought the Beatles apart.
Please give her the credit for all the nice music that George made and Ringo made and Paul made and I've made since they broke up. We announced the birth of a conceptual country, Newtopia. Citizenship of the country can be obtained by declaration of your awareness of Newtopia. Newtopia has no land, no boundaries, no passports, only people. Newtopia has no laws other than cosmic.
John didn't know that.
He really was happiest in his life with May Pang.
Will they ever team up again?
It's quite possible, yes. Would you like that to happen? If it happens, I'll enjoy it.
When we were at the beach house, we had McCartney coming by, so it was like a bunch of people during the day. He would come over for rehearsal to our house, and it was all John and Mal Evans.
Ringo Starr also spent time at Lennon's speech pad.
The memories are now all fond, and the wounds are healed, and if we do it, we do it. If we record, we record. I don't know.
Do you still love her? Do you want to get back with her and stuff? He said, yeah. I said, well, here's how you do it, and just gave him what Yoko had said, and he pretty much did it.
Yoko invited him over to the Dakota for a hypnotist session.
All plans of collaborating with his old band were dropped.
I'm just angry that it didn't happen, because I know that John wanted to do it.
Fortunately, I met you at the right time.
Unfortunately, that's right.
But in the end, I wonder what's going to happen. The shooting is exercise.
Shooting is exercise, oh yeah.
We just got cheesed off with it, you know.
Shooting is exercise. Shooting is exercise. Shooting.
I think she had it all planned.
The catcher in the rye, the phony mustache is the catcher in the rye.
It's kind of a phony, isn't he?
It's dark, and this limo pulls up, and John got out, and he came up the pathway, and he looked at me, and I fired at his back 5 steady shots. I thought by killing him, I would acquire his fame.
We have arrested Mark David Chapman.
A former Beatle who was 40 was hit by several bullets.
I suppose they tried to kill John.
She played it innocent, but I think she had it all planned. I think she knew exactly what she was doing from day one.
I'd like to say thank you on behalf of the group and ourselves, and I hope we pass the audition.
Get back. It seemed a little bit like magic, you know.
I mean, that's what they ask you. You go around the world on these tours, you know, and these sort of press conferences as well. Getting the Beatles back together again. They said, well, what are you talking about?
Well, let me ask you it this way. Are you getting back together? No.
And yet, with Free as a Bird, we somehow did. Yeah.
The Superstone was reunion. I want the world.
Now, all our messages were subliminal, you know.
Through the look in your eyes, you can see 2 people, really.